have a couple people talk. We're going to start with Michael Miller, and then we'll have Jamil give a little talk about tips for night running. So we'll have Michael come up and talk.
As I said, my name is Michael Miller. I'm the treasurer on the board for Narawas de Raramuri. Narawas de Raramuri is Friends of the Running People. Fundamentally, it's a nonprofit that was started by Micah True, Caballo Blanco. I want to say kind of a group did it, kind of maybe 2007 or 8 or somewhere in there or so. And it was started to basically support, or as a mechanism to support the indigenous people down in the Barrancas del Cobre, the Copper Canyon areas, the 6 canyons down in the Sierra Tarahumara, part of the Sierra Madre, a spectacular, beautiful area. And to support, fundamentally, Narawas became a mechanism to, there was a couple years where the rains didn't come, and they're all subsistence farmers, mostly, the indigenous people of the canyon, and can't grow your corn, your squash, when you don't have a lot of rain. So there was some challenging couple years, and put it together so as part of the race, as the race grew, was an opportunity to distribute vouchers, valets for the folks as they ran. So very obviously, the Raramuri peoples, which they call themselves, you may hear Tarahumara, the Mexican national name for it, but very proud people, so they want to earn the valets, and so that's part of it. So Narawas solicited and collected monies through various mechanisms, and obviously this is one of them. Aravaipa in particular, Jamil, I know that has been supporting the folks down the canyon for a whole lot of years. Besides going down, Aravaipa has been supporting hats and whatever, sharing and giving back to Narawas for a long time, also as Aravaipa. So the organization is very appreciative of that. So kind of some good news is that Narawas de Raramuri probably is in its last, we're going to for sure go through March of next year. And it fundamentally will probably cease to exist, at least in its current form. And that's good news because Narawas has spawned a lot of other mechanisms to support our friends down in the canyon. With a nonprofit, obviously, it's, you take money in and you're giving money out. And what's happened over the years is it became kind of a valets for the mechanism. So just supporting the corn vouchers, what goes on. And as time has passed and everybody's relationships have grown with the folks in the canyon, the Raramuri themselves and the local community, the Mexican nationals down in Urique or Batapilas, there was a desire to become more engaged, more involved in the community. And there's also a desire on the folks that inhabit those lands to kind of find other mechanisms and other opportunities to support the community, to do some things with farming and so on. So a lot of cool things that come out of that. One of the things is we started an organization partnering with them called Mascarima, which is focused on bringing some of the, fundamentally pinole, which is ground and roasted maize from heritage maize that the folks grow, the indigenous farmers. It's the cornmeal, or it's the food that I go out maybe to work in the fields and grow the squash or grow some beans or grow the corn itself. Also, Luna Group has started something called the Manuel Luna Foundation, which is supporting schools and truly brick and mortar building some buildings so that the indigenous folks are Raramuri friends that want their children to have more of a traditional education, that there is that opportunity as well. And so there's a few other, there's a Tierra Nativa group that is supporting, helping the folks hang on to the lands. There's some challenges down there and in any other area. It's not unlike, the States or whatever, where you have an indigenous people that have lived and inhabited lands for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and they're beautiful, spectacular lands. I could ramble on that for a whole long time. But there's, logging interests, mining interests, there's the guys that grow the little flowers. There's a lot of challenges there and they want to, those access to those beautiful lands. And so this group is supporting that. And that's actually one of the things that, one of the opportunities to share and support the communities there that's going on now. So it's really cool. It's good. So Neurawis is definitely continuing through corporations and support like Aravaipa, but they're from an individual basis. There's some more kind of traditional commercial opportunities that are coming out, so that's pretty exciting because I think the folks down there, a lot of people that went down, they like the opportunity where they participate as well. It feels much more engaged in the community and being part of those lands and whatever, so it's very exciting. I won't ramble forever, but I will tell you about, we're just back from the canyons. I don't know if everybody familiar with the Ultra Caballo Blanco? Mm-hmm. It's a 50-mile, 48, it's on the camera, 48 mile race, which is good news. I like that. Unlike Aravaipa races, they're long, except for Mesquite. Except for Mesquite, by the way. I like Mesquite. We like Mesquite. I hate to overhype or exaggerate that event, but it is a journey everyone should take if you haven't made it. It is truly, an experience you will have forever. There's something special about that place. There's something special about that run. There's something special about coming together, kind of a runner family, a runner community, coming down in lands that have been ran for hundreds, and thousands of years. And you're coming together with multiple cultures. You have Mexican national folks coming in from whatever, Chihuahua or Mexico City, or the local people of Urique Canyon. You have obviously the Ramari, the indigenous peoples of the Sierra Tarahumara. You have some international people coming from around, and we're just there to hang out, run, eat some guacamole, drink some beer, poop in an outhouse or whatever it is. And it's just this incredible experience. And there's a children's race now that is spectacular. It's 1,000 children run. And these kids will come and hike in. Some of them get bussed in, some of them whatever. It's a very challenging town to get into, but some of them will be hiking for 20 miles or 30 miles just to get to the Saturday race. The Sunday race is the same. You've got a lot of local folks, they live throughout the lands, and they'll come 40, 50 miles, and then the night before this year, normally the night before they'll set up camps. So we want to talk about our race prep before a 50-mile run that you're going to run in 90-something degrees heat. We want to get a good sleep and air conditioning, all of these types of things. So they're hiking in 10, 20, 30, 40 miles, sleeping next to a river outside, and then getting up in the morning and doing a run. This year, we had rain the whole night before the kids' race. So these little youngins that are doing it, they're hanging out in the rain. It's just incredible that the perspective and the attitude, and everybody comes up, we're going in the rain, there's no electricity, and you've got this smiles and happiness and running and fun and community and family, and it's something special. Make that journey down there. It's really cool. This is a Aravaipa ball. This is maybe one of the origins of endurance running. This is there's not a lot. There's now races, of course. Ramari will run a lot of races around Chihuahua and get down to Mexico. But this is, if there's any long running that's done, because there's not training. Training takes, you have to have time. I'm out working my field, I don't have time, or I have to have calories. It takes calories to train. There's not a lot of extra calories. What they do is this. So you'll get anywhere from 6 to 10 or 12, sometimes more people on each team. A lot of times it's a different community. And the games will go on for hours and sometimes longer than 24 hours. They'll go through the night or whatever. And the objective is just, you have a course and you just continue to advance this ball via the foot throughout. It doesn't matter who on the team advances the ball, but you're advancing. So just imagine in a small one, it's just a track or whatever. But the course could be 3 miles or 6 miles or 15 miles or whatever. So just advancing it on. And these are raggedy. A lot of times it's, canyons and bushes and stuff gets on there. They have the huaraches, which I'm sure you're aware is just the old tires, kind of cut up with the laces. Most folks still are doing the traditional, even though there's some changing, and they'll flick it on forward and go. So that's the running. And those games have been played best, I've understood and asked around for as long as they can remember. The oldest folks remember the older folks are running, and they were really good. So that maybe is the origins of this ball, maybe the origins of endurance running. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Very cool. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you do an intro for me? Hey guys, thanks for coming out tonight. Just by show of hands, how many of you have never run at night? Everyone has. Perfect. I don't need to talk about that. Let's have a good day now. So I don't know, what I like about night running is it gives you a different perspective on the landscape, which I think is pretty cool. A lot of us, I think, started out running roads or maybe came from a track or cross-country background. So getting out on the trails is kind of one step, which is pretty awesome. I think a lot of you run trails and know how great that is. And night running kind of takes it to a different level. Being out there under the stars with the wildlife, I think it's pretty cool. So I just want to kind of run down real quick 8 different tips for night running, and then we'll open it up to questions. If you guys maybe have questions specific to night running, we can start there, but then we can open it up to anything in general for the remainder of our time. Drink more beers, whatever you want to do. So first off, make it bright. Until you experience it, don't underestimate the brightness of a headlamp or a flashlight. That can really make a huge difference for you. I see a lot of people head out there with just a little tiny light and they're stumbling around. If you get the right kind of light, it can almost seem like it's daylight out there, and that will just help you to prevent tripping and falling on those rocks. Now, a second perspective to that is there's kind of a debate, headlamp or handheld flashlight. Or you can even sometimes hold your headlamp in your hand. And I would consider trying that. A lot of times if you just have a torch or a headlamp on your head, it kind of washes out the ground and you can't see where the rocks are and the shadows. If you have something that's lower down, it provides a perspective where if there's a rock, it will cast a shadow and you'll have a better chance of not tripping on it. I know I prefer to have a handheld light versus something on my head unless I have a really, really bright headlamp. No sun, no heat. And this goes towards some of our summer runs. If you do one in May, you might get away with it being pretty nice out. But once it hits July and August, remember that it's still really hot at night. Even though that sun isn't beating down on you, it can still be really, really hot out there. So what to do about that? Obviously, hydrating is super important, but also putting water on your body, so like cooling your core down. We sweat because our bodies put water on the outside of our body, and then the evaporative cooling effect is what keeps us cool. So remembering to take water with you, not only to drink, but also to wet down your hat or put on the back of your neck, that can make a huge difference. I know for myself personally, I do that a lot, and it really, really helps. A pre-race meal before running at night. It's kind of interesting timing because normally I think a lot of us, we have a schedule of our runs either first thing in the morning before we eat breakfast, or we plan it into our afternoon, so maybe after lunch but before dinner. If you're running at night, it kind of throws all that off. The best thing I think to do is to eat a regular sized lunch and then maybe a snack a couple hours before you run, but trying to avoid a really big heavy dinner so that you're not trying to digest that as you're running as well. Sleepiness, so for those of you who want to tackle those longer distances at night, you're going to have to deal with some sort of sleep deprivation most likely. I think most of us don't work night shifts. If you do, you'll probably have an advantage here. So using some well-timed caffeine is something that can really help you kind of push through. For races that, for those of you who've done, say, a 100-mile race and have had to run through the entire night, getting through and seeing like the sunrise the next morning can be a huge boost, and it's a pretty interesting, awesome experience. Have something on here called tunnel vision, and that's where you just like head down, staring at your headlamp, and you're not looking up anywhere. I think that can be, first off, just look up. Like there's cool things to see out there, so don't remember to take in the experience. But also it can just become a bit, I don't know, weird for your brain to just look and stare down at that one spot. So look up and look around, see what's out there. And then the last thing I said is avoid the DNF. So a lot of times with running, we can just keep going and we're not really aware or conscious of what is happening with our bodies. Take a second if you're not feeling well to assess what's going on. Am I too hot? Am I grumpy for some reason? And why am I grumpy? Maybe you're thirsty, or maybe you're hungry, you haven't been eating. So trying to assess those little things and correct them can help you to have a successful race, whether that is changing the batteries in your headlamp because it's getting dim, or eating a gel, or taking a couple extra minutes at that aid station to fuel up. I think those are all really important things that can keep you from a DNF. And then just your mental outlook, knowing that we all go through rough patches in races, and typically races have ups and downs just like life does. And if you get through that rough patch, it will probably get better, and you'll probably have a better time as long as you assess what is wrong. So yeah, I think that's my tips. Kind of ran through it quick, but
everybody cries at least once during a 100 mile.
yeah, if not many times. Exactly. So yeah, if you guys have questions, I'd love to answer them.
So you're gonna finish Berkeley this year?
I hope so.
You wanna see a finish?
Yeah. Throw me one, Sean. Thanks, there.
Do you so you spoke about headlamps versus handhelds. Which one do you prefer?
A headlamp or a handheld?
Yeah.
I prefer a handheld. Yeah.
Doesn't
Unless,
make it closer.
yeah, for me it gives me more control, and it's lower to the ground. So that's what I like.
Another trick too is I've seen people take their headlamps and adapt them so where their waist mounted.
I've seen that as well.
Right there.
I was about to say, have you ever tried it on the chest? So I wear it on
I
my
haven't.
chest and the headache, you know what I mean? Yeah, I do it around the chest and it's pretty good.
So it keeps the
Yeah.
beam a little bit lower. That's a good
You
tip.
don't, then you have free hands.
That's what I like too. And so the only the races where I have to have like carry poles with me is the only time when I just go with the headlamp only.
I wrapped it around your water bottle, the headlamp around the water bottle.
That
Do
works.
that.
That's a good one.
Until you fall in the mud and just wet and soft in the middle of nowhere and you're reaching for whatever.
Yeah.
Do you find you drink as much water at nighttime during a race, or do you find you drink less?
My needs go down at night, definitely. And I've often found too that sometimes I eat less as well, especially if it is like an all day, all night race and I've been running all day and I go into the night. I usually kind of eat less at night as well.
I got a bit of a personal one. So you stopped the caffeine, right?
Oh, me personally?
Yeah. How has your hydration been? Do you notice that you're more hydrated because you're not drinking caffeine? Like when you're doing your runs and stuff, are you, do you know what I mean?
Probably not, because I'm still not probably drinking enough water.
Oh, okay.
But
I gotcha.
yeah. But I finally have gotten over the hump of not
Congratulations.
being
Good for you.
addicted to it, I guess. Thanks.
It's hard.
Yeah.
What do you do to manage your energy, like nutrition wise, like for like a night race? So you've been up all day, like let's say you're coming straight from work or something like that. How do you then push through to do 50K, 50 miler that late at night when you're tired?
Are you talking about, like if I were to do one of the night races?
Yeah, like if you're to do like a night race, like let's say because you're used to waking up and then feeling fresh and going for 50K, whatever it is. How do you manage being up for 10, 12 hours and then being on top of that, then going out and running? Do you, is it something that you just do pretty much all day, or is it more about your fueling during the run? Combination of both.
Combination. Like I was saying, I think it's important just to eat maybe even a bigger breakfast and a normal lunch, and something a little bit lighter. If you're running through the entire night, like I think incorporating some solid foods as well as your gels and blocks or powdered drinks, whatever you do, is important as well, because you're going to want something. But in any race that I do, especially if it's a longer distance, I like to eat enough ahead of time where I can kind of get through the first hour or hour and a half without eating much. That way kind of all the systems get working and in line.
What's your preferred nutrition? Like, what do you usually like?
Me? Oh man, I'm so bad about this.
Sugar.
I like potatoes a lot, especially in a longer ultra distance. That seems to work really well for me. But I also like a variety of things. So I'll sometimes use gels and like shot blocks, granola bars, trail mix, stuff like that.
You put salt on the potatoes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you just drink water, or do you drink Tailwind?
I definitely don't drink Tailwind, but Sorry, I had a bad experience. But, I mostly just do plain water, and I like to. And that is actually one of my gripes with Tailwind is that it has like a set amount of calories and salt for every given bottle you drink, and I think that you want to kind of dial those in separately. So I think your electrolytes and your calories in your water should kind of be able to be mixed in your own ratio depending on the conditions and how you're feeling. So plain water is my answer, I guess. Yeah.
Maybe for training, 27K, a little bit over half marathon. Is half marathon training sufficient for that? I mean, I know each course has a different training, so different approaches.
I'd say that would be fairly close, yeah. I mean, the only thing is you're going to be out there longer than, say, if you're training for a road half marathon. Like, it could be, I mean, I don't know, it could be 30 minutes or an hour longer because it is extra distance and time. So probably spending more time on feet, even if you're doing some extra power hiking or whatever it is out on trails. But extra time on feet would be definitely well served. And that goes, I think, also with a marathon to, say, a 50K distance, the same thing. You want to just increase your time on feet. And on trails, don't be afraid to walk either. It's the nice thing about it.
Payday candy bar is the way to.
What's that?
Payday is my favorite for one.
Payday?
Chocolate doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not covered in chocolate, that won't melt.
Sure.
And you have salt, sugar, protein in one shot, and a little bit of solid food. And if you're about mile 15, just primo. And then it takes about 5 minutes to kick in.
I used to use.
That's chewy though. You'd have to be like.
It's chewy, yeah. But it's just awesome.
I used to use Snickers bars when I would do long distance hikes.
Oh, yeah.
And even if they'd melt, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I'd just go for it. All right, cool guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.